I'm on a quest to build 200 commander decks in just 31 days on a modest budget by building choose a background commander or a background each day. Later, I can mix and match when I go into a game. Will these decks turn out to be any good? I'm Ancestral, and welcome to Dollar Commander's Moxtober Deck Brewing Challenge. Moxtober is a month-long Magic the Gathering creative event, beginning October 1st. Each day has a word prompt with which you create something. I could make drawings or write stories, but no, that's boring. I love brewing commander decks. I'll be choosing a commander or a background from a selection of cards from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. Brew half a deck on each day, and hopefully in the end, when I shuffle these things together, they turn out well. Day 3 is Hermit, the recluse, the estranged person, perhaps a retired hero, or simply someone withdrawn from society. There really can't be a better fit than Cloakwood Hermit. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature card was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, create 2 tapped 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. With regularity, green has had morbid effects, where cards trigger when or if a creature died. Cloakwood Hermit does say from anywhere, so this is actually quite an interesting build idea. Can we expand this beyond just regular creature death triggers? Firstly, we're going to go creature heavy. We want the Hermit to trigger as much as possible, so we'll try cutting as many spells as we can afford. Seeing we are getting many tokens, any opportunities to cash them in will be fantastic. Okay, sounds good. Where do we go from here? The best place to start is probably Land Ramp. Dawn Treader Elk and Sakura Tribe Elder both are creatures that let us ramp, and we're happy about these death triggers. Borderland Explorer asks us to discard a card and then gets us a land to put in our hand. And Silverglade Pathfinder turns any card in our hand into a forest, giving us a chance to discard a creature card. It's repeatable. We'll keep Primal Growth since the land enters untapped by default, and its kicker is absolutely great. Just sacrificing a creature lets us get a second land we can put on the battlefield. Plus, let's take a field trip. Yes, we can't use lesson cards like we might be able to in a standard game, but we can discard a creature card. Since we're going to be getting many squirrels, we need cards that will reward us for having them. Squirrel Sovereign and Chitter Spitter both buff our squirrels, while Galagreeters gives us nice ETB triggers, and Ivy Lane Denizen puts +1/+1 counters on all our new creatures. Michaeloth devours our squirrels, in turn populating more saprolings, and Sundering Vitae lets us convoke, potentially for free. Magus of the Order is actually a natural order, but it's on a creature, and Evolutionary Leap is almost the same thing. I'm not usually a fan of infinite combos, but seeing these decks are not going to be nearly as tuned against other decks at the table, we need all the help we can get. When paired with Ivy Lane Denizen, Scurry Oak will give us as many squirrels as we desire, and each time Woodfall Primus dies, it will keep coming back, taking things out in the process. Day 4 is Death. Death is all around us. It comes in many forms in Magic: lethal damage, sacrifice, destruction. It usually marks the end, yet sometimes it's only the beginning. There were several options available for this prompt, but I wanted to go with Sarevok Deathbringer. There's no denying the name fits. However, Sarevok has a very unique ability, which is why I'm attracted to this card. Sarevok's ability is at the beginning of each player's end step, if no permanents left the battlefield this turn, that player loses X life, where X is Sarevok's power. We'd prefer our opponents not to trigger Revolt, the ability word from Ether Revolt, though admittedly, Commander has many popular cards and sack outlets people routinely include in their decks. So our primary game plan will be to rely on Sarevok to attack and get in for Commander damage. Then, whenever Sarevok's primary ability does trigger, it'll be like icing on the cake. Voltron cards include Blackblade Reforged, Demonic Embrace, and Mask of Grizzlebrand. The more power, the more damage, and the more life loss when our opponents don't trigger Revolt. Astarian's Thirst deals with the creature and buffs Sarevok, and Cultist of the Absolutes +3/+3 for 1 total mana is a steal. Since Sarevok is an equal opportunity commander, we need to make sure we can trigger Revolt. Ghoulish Procession and Captain's Claws will try to generate some tokens so that we can rely on Viscera Seer and Woe Strider at no cost to sacrifice our own creatures. Shadowheart Dark Justiciar allows us to draw cards, and Whisper Blood Liturgist brings back a creature from the graveyard. If we can get the mana to cast Reaper from the Abyss and Sarevok is on the battlefield, then our opponents have to pick their poison, take a life loss, or let us destroy a non-demon creature. Sir Conrad will be a backup plan while potentially flooding our graveyard for Woe Strider, as well as reanimation targets. Speaking of which, Blood-Soaked Champion and Reassembling Skeleton will cheaply let us return them to the battlefield. I threw in a Tragic Slip, which hopefully will have Morbid. Here's what the two decks might look like if we were to match them together. And I think it actually works out just fine. This black-green deck does seem to lean heavy into the graveyard theme. I don't think I would mind playing this at the table. Looking back at the decks I made the last few days, I think actually this looks surprisingly well. If Sarevok was partnered with Dungeon Delver, that would work fine. Sarevok is getting in to do commander damage, so then he gets to delve through the dungeon and draw some cards. Also, I think if Ellen Harbreeze was to be a Cloakwood Hermit, I think that would also work great. Since we'd be creating a lot more tokens, that just means there's a lot more cards we can filter through off the top of the deck. I'm intrigued what the next few days are going to look like. Will we be fortunate to find some synergies that work well, or am I just destined to fail? Leave your comments below. Find me in r/budgetbrews and on the Discord server, and I will see you in the next video.